is going on, Gulf Coast Nation? Guys, welcome home. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We do videos every single Monday and Friday, but today we are inside, off the beach, not on the boat, not traveling, showing you guys how we like to spool up reels with braided line, but more specifically, we are spooling our big shark reel, the Avit TRX 80, not the 80Y, just the 80. We are doing something a little different, but I'll explain that later. Basically, all you're going to need, obviously, a reel, a harness, a partner, a long piece of metal material that's stiff. Sometimes we use rebar, and then obviously your spool of braid. We're using 150 hollow core and a towel. So let's get to it. Take my braid off and basically keep a sharp knife or a pair of scissors on hand. First thing you're going to want to do is obviously line it through your guides. Once you line it through your guides, I'll try to show you guys here as we go. Basically, I'm going to take this, do a double overhand loop. Pretty simple there, just 2 turns inside your overhand knot. Cinch it tight. Nothing crazy, just a basic knot right there. And then I'm going to go over the spool 1 time, over the spool 2 times, a 2nd time, no way, yes way. And then once you got your 2 sides coming out, I'm just going to lay both sides together, take your tag end, and do another simple overhand knot. Cinch it tight, and then pull from your side going out until that knot is cinched all the way down tight. You see that knot cinched down tight? And then basically you've got your tag end right here. So when I start spooling this reel, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reel this reel really loose. You know, braid likes to slip. So you're just going to reel it loose and overlay that tag end. Oh no. Just keep overlaying. When you spool this braid, you want this braid laying really, really neat. Side by side, just like you would PVC pipe. Okay, lay it there, and then when you get to the top there, you can just take that excess tag end, lay it over the top, pinch it down. This is really important to make sure that it doesn't slip. You don't want that line slipping off the bottom. And then once you get over your tag end, you can see where I've gone over that tag end right there. Once you get your tag end over, it's not going to slip, and then you're good to go. Start spooling like normal. So what I'm going to do is the guy holding the spool over here, which is why it's nice to do with a partner. Now this is for spooling at home. Of course you can take it to a tackle shop. I will tell you, if you do take it to a tackle shop, make sure, especially if you're using big tackle like this with heavy drag, make sure they spool it on tight. That's what we're going to be doing here. You can wet the spool. I know a lot of people like to soak their spool in warm water. That way it packs on tighter, but you do not need to soak your spool of braid in water if you pack your spool on properly. Spool it right the first time. I like my line coming over the top of the spool. Take your whatever material it is, and then you're just going to put it on the towel. If you have a long piece of wooden dowel, you can put your legs on it, stuff like that, but we can't do that here, so I just take the towel. I'm going to put it over the ends. I'm going to hold it really tight. That way when Blaine is spooling the reel over here, everything is taut, good to go, and then the braid is packed on that reel really tight. So we're going to let Blaine get in the harness and get set up. Okay. Tighten the harness up. Everything's shit right now. I would tighten that preset run. That's what I was about to do. Alright, and then once everything's ready, get comfy and set in for a long spooling period. We got 1,000 yards on here, so we're gonna see if we can't get that a whole 1,000-yard spool of 150 onto this reel.
My hammy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's easier to deadlock it, like dead leg it, like straight leg it, but it hurts your hammies a lot.
Yeah, well, when I'm back like this, every like,
yeah, like jumps a lot. Yeah. It's a good point just to break for a second and talk about why. Drop your elbow here. Why 150-pound braid on a TRX, because everyone's going to ask that and we're not in Texas. So for those of you who watch this channel, you know that we use 200-pound braid with 200-pound mono on every single shark reel. Wow. On every single shark reel we run. That's a tongue twister right there. But we are trying something new. One, we are very curious of the actual line capacity of the TRX 80 Narrows. Mainly because you can't exactly go off of what you see online, because Diamond Gen 3 braid is great braid. It's really thick. Extreme braid, JB, they're all different thicknesses, so you kind of got to find out for yourself. But when we spooled this reel, we spooled it with a 2,000-yard spool of 200-pound. Obviously, we didn't put 2,000 yards of 200-pound braid on this TRX, so we didn't really know how much. And we want more line capacity for our upcoming wintertime season. So when we put 150 on here, normally on our big shark reels, we run 60 to 65 pounds of drag at strike. We're not going to do that with 150. We're going to be underusing the use of the TRX. So yes, 150-pound braid is not ideal to put on a TRX series because they go up to 100 pounds of drag. The EXW series goes up to 50 pounds at strike. So we're going to be putting this at like 55 pounds at strike. When we get done, we'll scale it out. I'll go through that. So if you're watching right now, stay to the end of the video so you can see how we scale our reels. But obviously, this is just an experiment. One, I want to see there's 1,000 meters of line here, which is roughly 1,100 yards. So I want to see if this reel can hold 1,100 yards of 150 braid. One. Two, we want to have at least 1,000 yards. Ideally, this holds 1,000 yards plus a top shot, so we can run baits 600 yards, 700 yards, 800 yards in the wintertime, because we make farther drops in the panhandle in the wintertime for sharks. And then, you know, we're just going to see what it does. So when it goes back to summertime, we're on charge again, we will be taking the 150 off, putting the 200 back on. So we do not recommend 150 braid for the TRX series. Get a EXW if you must run 150. But that's why we're doing it. We're experimenting a little bit. We do a lot of that here because we fish full time. This is our only job. So it's our responsibility a little bit to jack around with some variables, see what works, what doesn't work. We do a lot of things that don't work, and then we can tell you guys, hey, don't do that, it doesn't work. So we're in the middle of a trial period, but that's why we're using 150 braid instead of 200 like normal. So, Blaine, if you would like, go ahead, knock yourself out. Ginger buddy feet, ginger buddy feet, ginger buddy, ginger buddy, ginger buddy feet, ginger buddy feet, ginger buddy feet, ginger buddy, ginger buddy feet, ginger buddy feet. Yeah, I like to move it, move it. I like to spool it, spool it. You like to spool it, spool it. He likes to spool it. Ginger buddy feet, ginger buddy feet. Look, man, if you're holding the spool and you're not being the hype man for the guy over here absolutely straining his mind to spool the reel on, not only tight, but like you gotta spool it on straight like we were talking about earlier. So you have to spool his line on straight. If you're over here hyping somebody up, get out of here. Horrible teammate. So I like to spool in the arms of the angler. Oh my gosh. We've got plenty of room here. I don't know if you can see about a finger's worth. It's the top of the spool here. So I'm gonna switch out with Mr. Blaine, but we're getting there, we're getting there. I think we're gonna get it, man. I think we're gonna get this whole spool. I hope so. If we get 1,000 yards Ideally, we get 1,000 yards. We have room for a little braid topping, another 200-pound braid topping. That's exciting.
Like a lot of room.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a good bit
We're almost done.
Really?
And, yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote.
That's exciting right there. Alright, so we've got it. No braid left. So 1,100 yards. There it is. Still got some room for some top shot right there. So whew, we are going to take some 200-pound hollow core, splice it, and then top shot it again. So let's get to it. Love you all. So we've got it, our 200-pound braid attached to our 150. We're going to do a little braid toppy with that uni to uni knot right there. So back in the harness to see how much 200-pound braid we can get on top and then top shot it. So let's do it. Alright, y'all, we have it filled. We are going to an undisclosed location where we will need straight braid to drop maximum distance here in the next couple weekends. So we decided to do no top shot for right now, no 200-pound mono top shot. So we went with 200-pound braid top shot. So we have 1,100 yards of 150 braid with probably what, 300-400 yards of 200-pound on top. You think?
Yeah.
In that range, maybe shy, 300 yards, 200 yards, 200-300 yards. So I don't really know how much braid we got on top, but we got a good bit of 200-pound braid on top. So we will be top shotting when we come back to fish the Florida Panhandle. But for right now, we're going straight braid on the TRX because we need to get it done. So we'll catch you guys just a second, and we're gonna scale this reel out and make sure the drag's set. All right, y'all. So we've got our official scale here, little digital scale, zeroed it out. I don't know, zeroed out. We've got a loop knot tied to the end here. Blaine is proceeding to strike, and we are going to aim for like 50, 55 since we have that 50-pound braid underneath, or 150-pound braid underneath there. So 50 pounds at strike, we're going to see what we can get. Oh, that's perfect. 50, 51, 52. So right there. All right, got her scaled out. Strike is 51, 52, and then you want to go to full, just figure it out. See what we're kind of going with here. So go to full drag, just so we know when we're hooked up what we're working with here. All right, there we go. 63 pounds. So we still have our 63 pounds at full and then 50 pounds at strike. Granted, this is at full spool, so the way physics works, the more narrow your spool gets, the more drag will be pulled because it takes more effort to pull from lower in the spool than it does from the top. So the drag will increase as we go, but for right now, full spool, 50 pounds at strike, 63 at full. So we have the AD TRX spooled up, ready to go, 1,100-ish yards, 1,000 meters exactly of 150-pound hollow core, and then we topped it off with 200-pound braid. Normally we would have put about 100 yards more of 200-pound braid and then a short top shot of 200-pound mono, but we, like I said, we're headed to a very undisclosed location somewhere in our country where we're going to be using straight braid. Most of you guys will know what I'm talking about, but don't want to ruin any surprises, so we will be fishing that fishery very soon. When we come back, we'll take some braid off if we don't get cut off, and then we will top shot said reel back up with mono. But there is a short, pretty simplistic way of how we spool our reels, how we keep it tight. Don't overthink it, all right? Anything in shark fishing, basically, don't overthink it. Just make sure you do it right. Make sure you do it good and take your time. So we made sure the braid was 1, tied onto the reel correctly, 2, that it was spooled on tight, 3, that the line was being line laid correctly. Obviously, if you zigzag a bunch, you're not going to be able to get as much line on when you spool the reel back on and when you're reeling a fish in. Just make sure you're lining that guiding the line. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, why do you, if you get it spooled up this much, you know, I can never reel it on that way. Well, it's guided on by hand. Even if it's done at a shop, someone is standing there at the spooler, guiding it on with their hand. So just make sure that you guide it on with your hand correctly when you're in the harness, especially if it's easy, you have a free hand. So there's a basic rundown and scaling it out. So hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Hope you guys got something out of it. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up,
Drop a comment below. Share with your friends. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys in just a couple days. Phew!